Welcome to the SSR Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series at Chicagoland, live on HVTV. My name is Peter Terrio. Up in the booth with me is Gavin Austin, and our producer behind the scenes is Christian Delgado today. Gavin, it's a great day in Chicago. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited to see some great racing. 120 laps at this beautiful long track. So I think we're gonna see a lot of great racing, a lot of great overall passing. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, Chicagoland is one of the tracks that got affected big time by the truck's new chassis updates. Especially, it was put on full display back when C Fixed was there not too long ago, just a couple weeks ago. So some of these drivers might have some experience under their belt from those officials.
Oh yeah, for sure. The more experience they have, I think the better they feel coming into this race. So I think a lot of these drivers might be more confident than others. So it's definitely something that's gonna be interesting here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 8 minutes left in practice. We caught you guys a little bit early, so we have time to talk about everything going on. Right now, you're watching the winner last week in the All-Star race at Kern County, William McKellar. He's getting those practice laps in, and he has got to have a lot of momentum coming into this week.
Yeah, coming straight out of a win, definitely feeling good. Even though last race was not a points race, I think he still has to take a lot of credit for getting that win under his belt. Definitely more confident heading into tonight's race.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of the guys who were in. I mean, the majority of the guys who were in that All Star race are in this race as well, and this field is just more fluffed up. So it is going to be interesting to see how those drivers who turned out to that All Star race, how they're going to compare on such a different track, mile and a half here around Chicagoland, and it's been a while since it's been on the official NASCAR schedules.
Yeah, definitely been a while. Hope to see it back soon as William McKellar is practicing his qualifying lap right now, trying to figure out the line, trying to get as fast as he can so he can start somewhere up front.
Yeah, and this track has a lot of character that you can really experiment with during practice. The top line can kind of work. The truck will get loose on entry and exit pretty easily, especially on those colder tires. It's going to be really important the opening laps of this race to not really burn your stuff up or overheat your tires because that quick change from ice cold to super hot can make the truck extremely unpredictable.
Yeah, tire wear is definitely going to be a thing, or definitely a big thing that we'll witness throughout this race. We'll see a lot of drivers taking it easy through the start, maybe some drivers pushing a little bit harder than they should, but it's all race strategy here at Chicagoland.
Yeah, and I think the strategy is going to be one of the most interesting parts to focus on this race because, they can get spread out pretty easily at this track once you get a couple laps under your belt. And, like, the draft will kind of hold people together, but with the new updates, the trucks have to slow down a little bit more for the corners. And that tire wear, as it kind of goes away, it's going to start to spread the field out more and more. So the longer run we get, the less of a chance we get a caution, and the more higher of a chance we have of getting some interesting strategy calls.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see some of these guys' strategy picks and seeing how they handle it. As now we're watching the 94 machine of John Fowler practicing his qualifying laps, trying to get that speed down, trying to figure out the right line. As we see him now coming out of turn 4, a little bit loose onto the front stretch.
Yeah, and it's cool to get this onboard view. You can really see what we've been talking about. Using a lot of that apron on the front straightaway, it's a big advantage to go all the way down there. There's so much of it, and you might as well use it because it can kind of burn up your tires a little bit more, but if you're trying to get qualifying laps, then it can benefit you big time. Fowler blinked out just a little bit there, but we got him back as he's going down the back straightaway.
Just under 5 minutes of practice remaining, then we'll hop into a qualifying to see these drivers go around this track. As once again taking the apron, very different compared to some tracks where they don't allow you to go under the apron, but in the trioval. But they definitely do it here. Definitely picks up a lot of speed. You'll see some people do that in Michigan as well.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of the tracks where qualifying is going to be kind of harder with how loose the truck can be on exit. I mean, we saw it there when you were on board with the 95. that he was just loose on exit. You get that a little too much on your qualifying lap with those ice cold tires, and it'll just kick right around. Especially if it's out of turn 4, you might lose both of your laps.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now we're watching the 28 machine, who also raced last week in the All-Star race, did fairly well there, entering turn 1 and 2 now. See them trying to get as low as they can to that white line, but you see him get loose there, trying to he's driving it a little bit too deep, getting
Yeah.
loose.
Yeah, a lot came out of that All-Star race, even though there was a smaller field than we have tonight. And watching the 28, see, oh my gosh, he's gonna get the outside wall pretty heavily there, and that was a good example of what we were talking about, getting so loose on exit. I mean, very easily. He had a pretty good running at Kern County, and unfortunately, on a restart, spun the tires and got in a wreck. So, I mean, he's gonna be hoping to kind of get some redemption for that. Maybe see his maybe get to see the front end of the pack once again and take advantage of it this time.
Yeah, you did see the 48 also get loose on the exit of turn 4. I think we'll see a lot of drivers happen to do that tonight. We might see a couple incidents involving drivers getting loose in the corners as well, maybe in qualifying. Could definitely be a factor we'll see tonight as he's now entering the backstretch or on the backstretch.
And the backstretch is really characteristic here at Chicagoland. It's curved, and if you look at it from the top down, I mean, it's very clearly curved. And I mean, if you get a camera that is shooting straight down it, it'll look like it's bowed. And it can provide some really interesting moments where you might kind of misjudge where trucks might be on your outside, and it gets really hard when you're like 3 wide coming off the corner because how the safer barrier wraps on the exit and entry of the corner, it kind of sneaks up on you because it kind of sharpens the curve of the backstretch wall.
Yeah, and can definitely come at you when you don't expect it. If you're 3 wide on the top, you'll be looking at the cars on the inside, and all of a sudden, boom, you're into the wall because of that curve. Definitely can catch you off guard.
Yeah, and it's gonna be really interesting. This is a track that I think a lot of people wish was not taken off the NASCAR schedules because it provides pretty good racing. There's a lot of great races that have happened at this track in the Cup Series and the lower series as well. And it is good to see it here in the Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series because I think it'll provide some great racing tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you right there. As now we're watching the Ford machine, number 56 of Craig Strouder on the backstretch, entering turn 3 and 4. He's running higher than we saw some guys running earlier, kind of arcing it down to that second lane as he, once again, gets a little bit loose out of turn 4, but arcs it back down under the apron in the triangle, trying to gain as much speed as he can.
Yeah, we didn't see that sim motion driver take to the track of Kern County, but he's had some pretty good finishes this season. He had a great run at IRP and has just been kind of, I mean, just chilling, having a good season, which is important. And the sim motion team is a pretty strong team, not only here but in the Cup Series that accompanies this series in this league. And I think he's going to be trying to look to capitalize tonight here at Chicagoland.
Practice getting ready to come to a close, qualifying coming right up as we're going to see a lot of drivers starting to go out with their laps pretty soon. As now we're watching the 3 machine, that Toyota bright purple car. Nice looking car out there.
Yeah, Jeremy Bond, the Team Conti.gg on the back and side of that machine, ripping up by the top. Beautiful, shiny purple machine, like you said. Really pops out. I'd love to see that truck under the lights.
Yeah, I agree. That's got to shine at night as now practice comes to a close. Qualifying will begin very shortly.
Yeah, and at the top of the practice charts, Joe Hudson was the quickest. So we're going to see what he's going to be able to do. If he's going to be able to match that in qualifying, only time will tell. 2 laps for each of these drivers. They have 5 minutes to complete those 2 laps. And if I had to guess with how this season has been going, we're going to use all 5 of those minutes.
Yeah. Don't forget the driver, though, that was second in practice, Lane Phillips. We saw him very fast last week at Kern County. I think he could definitely be a driver that can get it done today. We did see him make some very little mistakes though, and that definitely changed how his race played out.
Yeah, and Lane Phillips was also one of the drivers who took place in the League Showdown event that was broadcasted here on High Velocity TV on Saturday, which SSR is a part of. They're one of the leagues that is in that event, and he had a good showing for the team. Along with him was McKellar. McKellar, unfortunately, had a big crash, although he was very fast early on. Right now, Phillips wrapping the exit of turn 2 and down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Lane Phillips, great run so far. As he's entering turn 3, kind of arcs it down to that second lane, doesn't really go to the inside, trying to stay as straight as possible as we don't really see him get loose. Coming out of turn 4, gonna arc it back down to that white line. We're not really seeing him going under the apron
And
as he's now on his second lap.
maybe trying to build up some speed so that this second lap will really matter. You don't It's not something you kind of think about a lot with mile and a halfs, but with these trucks, there is kind of an importance to have that speed built up, almost like a super speedway style qualifying.
Yeah, as now we see him wrapping down to that inside lane in 3 and 4, going for his second lap to be the fastest. Very good corner, very good exit. Now wraps it on the apron. Looks like he's going to go top of the board at the moment. Great lap by him.
31:013 for Lane Phillips. Very smooth lap, and I'm happy we got to watch that whole entire one because he was just looked like that truck was on rails all the way around. Now watching Ty Dickinson, he was your pole sitter from Kern County. We're going to see if he can back it up this week.
Yeah, coming out of turn 2, entering the backstretch. Like you talked about, that curved backstretch can definitely catch these drivers off guard. But now entering turn 3 and 4. Great job by him. Kind of holding the seam, but that seam can unsettle the car just a tiny bit. He's now going to arc it back down onto the apron.
Yeah, and with that second lap, Ty Dickinson goes third on the board with an 0.42, and he ran a little bit higher there than Lane Phillips did. But now, your fastest in practice, Joe Hudson, is out on the track. We'll see what he's going to be able to do.
And that Ford 49 machine coming out of turn 4, getting ready to begin his lap. See them running that outside lane, trying to carry as much speed as they can out of the corner.
Yeah, Hudson in the 49 machine, the Granger red, black, and white Ford. Like you said, running more higher up, trying to build up that speed. Obviously, he kind of knew how to do it in practice because he set a very good practice time. He kind of saw down the back straightaway. He didn't keep it up by the wall. Maybe, oh wow, he's actually going to get really loose. And he kept it off the wall, but I would think that might slow him down just a little bit coming to his second lap.
Definitely going to lose a lot of time coming to his second lap, which he was going for. Don't think he'll have the lap to bring it to the top 2, as we now see the 90 on the front row. Beat Lane Phillips' lap. Great
Yeah,
job by
we
the
didn't
90
even see.
machine.
We
Yeah,
didn't even see Matthew
Hutchinson.
Hutchinson. We're going to see if Joe Hudson is going to be able to trump it at all. He's going to run the top on the second lap through 3 and 4, trying to get the run off the high side and down to the apron. Second lap by for Hudson. He improves by 0.2, but it's still just a 1. And that's going to put him 7th at the moment.
Yeah, not something he definitely wanted. Getting loose out of turn 4, coming to his second lap. As now we're watching the 83 machine of Blake Murray, another Team Conti truck.
And Murray has been a force to be reckoned with this season. He's got a couple wins. He ran pretty good at Kern County. Had some incidents there as well, but Murray is one of those drivers who kind of just waits right until the last moment to set the lap. And when I said we're going to use all those 5 minutes, it was because of Blake Murray. And we're going to see what he's going to be able to do as he rolls down the back straightaway.
Yeah, showing a lot of speed entering turn 3. Going to that inside lane. Kind of left sides on that white line. Got a little bit loose, but mostly kept it straight. Going down to the apron.
Yeah, and he only got 1 lap in, and that's going to be it. And it's a 31.5. And that's going to put him 14th.
Yeah, not something he wanted to see. Kind of waited a little bit too long. Didn't have the time to do that second lap.
But I mean,
As
we've
now,
seen he's used to coming from the back.
yeah, he's a great driver. Makes his way from the back to the front. So great job by him. I think he definitely still has a shot. Wouldn't call him out of this race at all.
Yeah, and as the drivers grid up, get on the front straightaway, we are going to pull up your qualifying rundown and give you the run through the field for the start of the race here at Chicagoland for the Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series. Matthew Hutchinson, 30.999, goes pole position, and next to him it's going to be Lane Phillips. William McKellar, the All-Star Race winner, is going to be
Hey, just
starting
so that
third,
everyone
and
knows,
next
we
to
had
him,
some
Ty
late,
Dickinson
late
will be
entries.
in fourth. In
But
the next row,
hope
Brandon
those are all of
Zimmerman is
those
going to
that
be
are
in
turning in the
fifth, and then
backfield in the
outside of
yellow,
him, it's
picking
going to be
up
John
who's already
Fowler. Joe Hudson, quickest in practice, went seventh on the board in qualifying after that one mistake that we saw, and Brandon Massey will be on his outside. Ira Colas is going to be in the ninth position, also had a good running in the All-Star race, and on the outside of him, it's going to be Cody DeForge. Xander DeForge, Cody DeForge's brother, is going to be in 11th, and then on his outside, it's going to be Leroy Koblenitz.
Heading into row 7, we got Craig Schroeder, and on his outside is an 83 machine of Blake Murray, who we didn't see get his second lap in time. Behind them in row 8 is Sam Colaz, and on his outside is Michael Wingo, who we saw struggle a little bit last week at Kern County, trying to get it done today. Behind them in row 9 it will be John Ross. Ignore my name there. In row 10 is Brandon Honeycutt, and on his outside is Mark Morton, which Mark Morton will move up a lane due to the miscommunication. In row 11 is Kensley Smith. On his outside is Brandon Sanfilippo. Sorry about that. In row 12 is Gary Wright, and on his outside is Jeremy Vaughn in that 3 machine. And that rounds off the field here at Chicagoland. Great field here today.
Mile and a half, 120 laps, you said it earlier, and it's going to be under the sun the whole entire time, baking the track in. It's going to be an interesting one, no doubt about it. We'll see what these drivers are going to be able to do.
Yeah, Matthew Hutchinson is going to lead us to this green flag. Great lap by him once again on the pole with last week racer who did really well, Lane Phillips, in that 6 machine.
Yeah, a lot of drivers, actually, like 3 of the top 4 had good runs in the All-Star race. So hopefully we can see that maybe back it up here and run good in this one as well. Maybe even nab a win. I know Phillips and Dickerson were both looking for wins there when they weren't able to grab them.
Pace car getting ready to hook a hard left onto pit road, as it's going to be Chevy versus Ford for this green flag run as we're getting ready to go green.
And the pace car lets them have it. Green flag is away. Matthew Hutchinson is going to lead the whole 21 truck field to the green.
Matthew Hutchinson on the outside of Lane Phillips. Lane Phillips still on his right quarter panel.
Oh, one truck in the wall. Another one spins. One of those was Sam Colas into the outside wall. The other driver is Michael Wingo in the 01. Big damage. A smoking motor as well.
Yeah, lap 1 incident already. Lane Wingo, who we saw have a little bit of trouble last week at Kern County, involved with that blown engine. Same with Sam Colas. It's not something he really wanted to see this early on.
But no caution.
No caution.
No caution. We're going to keep it green. Matthew Hutchinson beginning to pull out a little bit of a lead. A couple car lengths over Lane Phillips, and he has William McKellar all over the back end of him.
Single file throughout the field. No too wide action at the moment, as once again the Chevy of Matthew Hutchinson kind of pulling away, as now we see a battle for second as they're too wide. Never mind, Lane Phillips clears them by running the apron.
Not much too wide, but many different lanes being run. You see McKellar jump to the high side. Lane Phillips goes downstairs, and he is going to... I mean, for a moment there, it looked like he was going to get him when he came off the corner, but McKellar closed in, decides to just push the 6 machine down the back straightaway.
Yeah, running that outside lane definitely gets a huge run out of the corner. William McKellar kind of trying to do it again. Does get the run. I don't think he's gonna have the speed to make a move though, entering turn one.
Every driver using that apron down the front straightaway. It's kind of too big to not use it. You lose so much. It's almost like the dog leg at Phoenix. Every driver jumping down there, as we saw last time by.
Still leading this race, Matthew Hutchinson with Lane Phillips behind him. Lane Phillips kind of keeping a steady pace with him, running that lower than him though, as Matthew's kind of running that second lane.
Yeah, and already some drivers making big moves. Blake Murray is already up tonight from starting in 14th, up 5 positions. Actually, make it 6th. He's gotten up to that 8th spot. Might be using up the tires, but he's definitely making big moves early.
Great job by Blake working his way throughout the field as we see Lane Phillips kind of pulling in Matthew just a little bit. Has a way early entry running that inside as we see Matthews again running that second lane.
Yeah, the Chevy's going to drive it down off the corner and get a big run, leaving the Ford of Phillips kind of in the dust. Pulls another 3-car length lead on him, entering 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, we're seeing a lot of drivers kind of run different lanes as Matthew Hutchison actually drives back down to that inside lane, kind of giving Lane Phillips the dirty air, kind of blocking him just a tiny bit.
Yeah, Hutchison really using a lot of the racetrack, entering in really high, driving it down to the white line or just above it on the exit of the corner, and it's allowing him to get really good fast entries because he's diving the truck into the corner and getting really good fast exits because he's apexing really late.
Still seeing a lot of single file racing here as Hutchinson got a little loose in the middle of the corner, kind of pulling away from Lane Phillips now.
Yeah, and we'll see if McKellar decides to make a move. He poked the nose of the truck out down the back straightaway, but didn't really do much of it. Maybe just trying to get a little bit of air on the nose. Maybe just trying to see where the corner comes up. He gets a big run, jumps to the apron, and he's going to have the big advantage of cutting it down the front straightaway, side by side for second.
Yeah, side by side for second. William McKellar in front of him at the line, now in front of him in the corner. Looks to be clear. No, Lane Phillips, huge run. It was William McKellar into the outside while Lane Phillips goes around early on.
Dickinson
Aggressive
also
move.
spins.
Oh,
Dickinson, he catches it. Lane Phillips and William McKellar. It almost looked like McKellar was trying to clear, and he just quite wasn't.
not exactly sure, but a driver radioed in on their radio saying their steering was broke.
I would
Might
assume that
be
would be
Ty
McKellar.
Dickinson or McKellar, yeah.
I think McKellar took a pretty hard shot to the outside wall. You're going to see it here on the HVTV replay. The 75 kind of sliding up and a little bit of contact. And at that point, there's not much you can do.
First yellow only on lap 8 of this race. Mistakes early on. Second and third place both involved. Very fast drivers. Lane Phillips kind of got through that wreck unscathed. Just going to have to go to the rear, probably get some new tires after taking a big slide, but not really any damage on that truck as William McKellar kind of got the worst of it. Heavy
Yeah.
right side damage.
Phillips surprisingly got away pretty clean, like you said. I don't even see anything on his nose. Watching McKellar come down pit lane right now, and obviously talked about the fact that there might be steering damage, but we'll see. I mean, if there is, he's going to probably have to spend a substantial amount of time in the pits.
Yeah, last week's winner, not really. This race isn't really going how he really wanted it to go. Had such a good week. Very fast truck last week. Very fast truck this week, but just made an early mistake as we're taking a look at that right side damage. Heavy damage. Has some damage on the side skirt, the right side skirt.
Yeah, and you come from a track like Kern County where you get a little aero damage, it's not a big deal, and then you go here, Chicagoland, where you have a little bit of aero damage, especially in the trucks, and it will drop you like a rock. It's like dropping an anchor, and you will just not be able to keep up. It's so draft dependent here and aero dependent here. So he's going to want to get that fixed.
Still leading this field, though, is Matthew Hutchinson. Great job by him keeping up with the pace as Lane Phillips shot back quite a bit after that spin. Decided not to go into pit road, though, and take tires. Kind of stayed out, maybe trying to save that extra set for later. not trying to lose a set early on.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't got any damage, might as well see how it's gonna drive, I guess. But there is I mean, the good thing is it was kind of just one rotation. He got it back going, and he has a good chance to cool the tires off now. Hopefully, that's enough for him to be set and be able to kind of get those positions back.
Yeah, as he's gonna start beside Blake Murray.
At least he'll have somebody good to follow through the field.
Yeah, Blake Murray, a very fast driver, started towards the rear, making his way up through the field very quickly.
Cody DeForge is also making his way up pretty good. He started in the 10th position, and he's up to 5th, right in front of Murray there in the 24 truck, that Toyota Race City RCRM machine.
Yeah. Now the driver in second, Ty Dickinson, who started fourth, who was behind that incident, watched it happen in front of him, is going to be in second, going to start on the outside lane. So once again, it's going to be Ford versus Chevy next time by.
And Dickinson looks like to have a little bit of damage on that right front corner, and it looked like McKellar came down trying to get it off the wall and got into Dickinson. And Dickinson did save the truck, but that splitter looks kind of pushed back, and that fender looks pretty rough.
Yeah, I kind of expected him to enter pit road there, try to fix the damage because it's early on in the race, but decides to just stay out, try to push through it. As we're now going to be 1 to green. 90 chooses the high side.
Yeah, Hutchinson going to the top. No driver claiming that yellow. If people at home watching are not aware, SSR Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series has a claim system. So when a driver is involved in a caution, they have the opportunity to claim it, and if they do, then they will get sent to the back. If they don't, then it will go to review after the race, and they will be issued a larger penalty than if they were to claim it. So no claim on that one. So that one is going to go to the discretion of the admins after this one to see what they think about it. But getting ready to go back green here.
Not really surprised with Hutchinson choosing the outside lane, as we kind of saw him driving the outside lane compared to some of the drivers behind him going straight to that white line. Was definitely doing really well either on that second lane or way up high, getting the huge run out the corner at a lot of speed. But pace car once again going to hook a hard left on a pit road, and we're getting ready to go back green here at Chicagoland on lap 12 of 120.
Yeah, we'll see if anybody can take notes here on Hutchinson, as they'll all be right behind him. Hutchinson spun the tires a little bit and got shooken up, and Dickinson lost it even more. He's going to lose back to third, maybe even fourth.
Yeah, Dickinson didn't get the start he really wanted. Could be a factor from that damage he has, as we see a car get loose in the back, another car in the wall, hard into the wall. We're going to stay green.
Yeah, he kept it right up by it. That's good. Gentlemanly move. That's Brandon Massey in the 87. Good for him to keep it up by the wall. Blake Murray makes a move to take second. He restarted a couple rows back on that restart, and he's going to look to maybe possibly have a run at your leader here.
Yeah, Blake Murray, we knew he was going to be fast. Started 14th, already making his way up to the top two, only on lap 14. Having a lot of speed in that Toyota. As he clips the apron, gets a little bit loose. Lose a little bit of time on exit, but the 65 is going to help him by giving him a little bit of a bump.
Yeah, we know you want rotation in your trucks through the corners, but it over-rotated a little too much there. His truck looks very unstable. It looks really loose, a lot looser than Matthew Hutchinson's does right now.
Yeah, as now they're entering turn 1, as we see Blake Murray kind of was following Matthew Hutchinson, entering that corner, but kind of ran a little bit wide as he got a little bit loose on exit, but didn't really lose too much speed, as we kind of have a top 3 breakaway. Fourth is a little bit further back, as now we have a car on his inside, making a move on his inside.
Yeah, Dickinson under attack from DeForge. They look to maybe make contact. That's Ford v Toyota, and then it's another Ford behind them. That's Lane Phillips. We talked about him involved in that last caution. He's going to be looking to make a move. DeForge kind of runs Dickinson up a little bit, and Dickinson's going to lose some time. I don't even think there was contact, but unfortunately that 67 truck is going to start dropping.
Yeah, Dickinson got loose out the corner, made contact, a little bit of contact with the car on his inside out of turn 2, but Dickinson definitely falling back. Damage could play a
Oh,
factor, but Cody DeForge, great job
oh,
by him making his way up through the field as we had a car sideways.
Dickinson caught the outside wall that time. He brought somebody else with him who followed him into it. Not as bad. It looked to be Leroy Koblenz. That truck just seems very unstable. I wonder if it's that damage we were seeing.
Yeah, I think it might exactly be that damage that is making his car unstable. But still, Matthew Hutchinson under attack by the 65 machine. That's the 65 of Brandon Zimmerman, who started who started fourth. Hold on.
Yeah, Blake Murray took the lead.
Yeah.
We were busy watching the Hornets nest behind them, and Blake Murray ripped around the 90 machine and took the lead away, running all the way up by the wall.
Yeah, Blake Murray running that outside line right up on the wall. We see a lot of drivers do that in the Cup Series, like Larson. People may call it the Larson line, but he's definitely running it very well, getting the huge run on exit, but it definitely could cook up his tires just a little bit more than those drivers running a little bit lower than him.
Yeah, we saw Blake Murray be his truck was really loose on the inside when he was trying to get it to wrap the white line. So maybe he's experimenting a little bit. Man, it still does look a little more on edge than I feel like he might be comfortable with.
Yeah, Hutchinson at a turn 2 got a little bit loose, almost got up into the wall. A great save by him as we see him kind of running the seam, which kind of can unsettle the truck a little bit as he's under pressure once again from the car behind him. That's the 65.
Yeah, are we seeing the possible tire consequences of that really aggressive line Matthew Hutchinson was running earlier in the race, running that really wide entry and really late apex? Zimmerman looked for a move, and he's going to tuck right back in behind Hutchinson now.
Yeah, can't really make the move, decides to just stay behind him at the moment. Coming out of turn 4, Blake Murray a little bit sideways. You see him pushing that truck to its limits, trying to go as fast as he can.
Yeah, lap times are falling off pretty substantially for being 20 laps into this one. It's a big shift. Tire wear can be really important here. The last time by, Blake Murray, your leader, ran a 32.3, and his best lap was a 31.4, so nearly a second of tire wear within the first 20 laps.
Yeah, heavy tire wear early on in a run. We're not even 20 laps fully green as we had that one yellow earlier. But he definitely is faster than these two cars behind him, but it also could be that could be a factor is that Matthew Hutchinson is kind of having to defend the 65 behind him of Brendan Zimmerman.
Yeah, you saw on board with Zimmerman kind of sniffing the tailgate there of Matthew Hutchinson, and I think Zimmerman, if he wants a chance at getting Blake Murray anytime soon, he's gonna need to make quick work of Hutchinson. But maybe he just thinks Murray is burning his stuff up, and he can just kind of sit here and wait and capitalize late in this run.
Yeah, we also see some drivers towards the back kind of trying to save tires as much as they can for hoping for a long green flag run to kind of eventually catch these front three who are kind of running hard early on, only on lap 23 of 120.
Yeah, and there's also currently a battle going on for fourth. DeForge on the high side, and on the bottom, Lane Phillips involved in the first and only yellow. He's trying to take fourth back away and continue his charge. The two basically identical color schemes for trucks go side by side down the front straightaway. That time by, though, DeForge had it by a bumper.
Yeah, it's Ford versus Toyota. Lane Phillips, who started second, trying to make his way back up through the field after that incident early on. Didn't really get any damage from it. As we see a car sideways in the back. As we see a yellow. I'm not exactly sure who that is. I'll let you guys know in one moment.
Hi Dickinson. Hi Dickinson in the 67. With the damage that we saw, we said his truck looked unpredictable. You're going to see it here on the HVTV replay. Kind of looks like he just got loose.
Yeah, got loose on his own. As we'll probably see drivers take their trucks into pit road to get tires, and I think Ty Dickinson just needs to take that damage and try to repair it as much as possible, as we saw it unsettle his car throughout that run. Definitely played a huge factor.
I will say,
But
good job from everybody to avoid that crash because he lost control of the truck and it slid up and down the track about twice. So, good job from everybody else who was behind him to avoid that one.
yeah, great avoidance by a lot of drivers, as we're gonna see Blake Murray taking on to pit road to get tires and some fuel. As we see most of the pack also entering pit road.
Yeah, it's like an ant trail. He's bringing the whole field down with him, and it really is the whole field. No point staying out at this point. 25 laps in, and it is going to be the race off pit lane to see who's going to get the lead when we go back green.
Yeah, as we see the 90 who was running second, who started on pole, has that first pit box, Matthew Hutchinson. Great job by him starting pole, but what some of these drivers don't really like is having that first pit box, as you can't really get the run out of the pits as they really want. The drivers in the back kind of get the better run, as we might see Hutchinson
Oh,
actually takes the lead. Wow.
yeah, he beat him out pretty substantially more than I thought he would. Blake Murray going to have to redo everything he did. Caution there, by the way, Ty Dickinson is going to take the EOL, and along with probably taking his damage, as he claimed that one, so he is going to get the chance to charge up through the field.
Yeah, as we had Xander DeForge, I don't know if he stayed out or was a lap down. I think he just stayed out, but he's leading this field. Definitely a different strategy call we are seeing early on. Not something I would really expect this early. As, yeah, he's bringing it on the pit road.
Maybe he expected to bring more with him, or maybe he wanted to just end up at the back anyway. Sometimes you're gonna just want to avoid the mess, and with these colder tires, I mean, we saw it on lap one of the race. It was at the back, so it didn't really get many people. It got just a couple trucks, but the cold tires stepped one of them out, and it took another one with them, and unfortunately took an engine as well. So if you see something like that at the front of the field, that would be catastrophic.
Well, these trucks are kind of resetting, taking those four tires. Will have a lot of grip compared to that green flag run we saw. A lot of will go way faster, as it's definitely going to be a change. As we saw, Matthew Hutchinson was fast, but kind of wore his tires just a little bit more than Blake Murray did. Blake Murray was also very fast, worked his way up through the field. It's definitely going to be interesting. We'll see very interesting racing as we go green here. It's going to be Chevy versus Toyota front row.
Yeah, now some of these drivers, they have put what they learned from that 25 lap run, put it up in their memory bank, and they're going to remember it for the rest of this race, know how hard they can push the truck for when they want tires. They know when they're running too hard, when they're not going to have tires at the end of a run. So that first run is almost like a trial. They can see what they did right, what they did wrong, what they need to improve on. And I think this is the run where we'll see that all kind of put into effect.
That's kind of like a test run, trying to get, like exactly like you said, a test run, trying to just get the feeling of this truck. Also under pressure, but also long green flag run that maybe they couldn't get in practice. So as pace car lights are off, we're now 1 to green, gonna go green this time by. Gonna see a lot of great racing.
Yeah, Matthew
Definitely.
Matthew Hutchinson takes the top. Blake Murray going to be forced to go on the bottom. And we saw Murray really like the top at the end of that run. And we saw his truck kind of struggle on the bottom when he was trying to work his way up to Hutchinson. We saw it kind of over rotate, struggle with getting so loose it was tapping the apron. So maybe he can use what he's learned now and push it a little differently. I wouldn't say push it not as hard because it's Blake Murray. Obviously, he's going to push it hard, but maybe just push it a little differently so that he doesn't get as loose.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. Has a lot of speed. Definitely gonna be interesting how Matthew Hutchinson's gonna react with him, because he hasn't really reacted or been near him on a restart, I should say. As once again picks the outside lane. Pace car hooks a hard left, and we're gonna get ready to go green here once again.
Yeah, last time we saw tires spinning. This time, not as much of it, but a pretty spread out start. Blake Murray got a big push from behind of Brandon Zimmerman, and he's going to still, even with that push, have the ability to tuck in behind Hutchinson and actually get to the lane he wants to be in. I would assume Murray got a little bit loose there, caught the truck. Here we come down the back straightaway.
As we see a huge save in the back, a car got really loose out of turn 2, but now we have a battle for the lead with the 65 on the inside of the 90 machine of Matthew Hutchinson. That's the 65 of Brandon Zimmerman, who's working his way up through the field. Can't really get that inside to work, though, with Hutchinson running that outside lane. Gets a huge run out of the corner.
The DoorDash Chevy dips down to the inside grass down the front straightaway, and he's going to try and find a way around the driver who he sat behind for, well, I would say, oh my goodness, the latter half of that run, Cody DeForge had contact. He goes through the inside grass, sliding, coming back up, and he keeps it out of the racing surface. A great save by the 24.
Yeah, great save by him. 90 machine kind of pulling away after that incident as they're side by side for second. The 65 and the 83 side by side. Blake Murray on the outside. You see most of the cars kind of running that either second lane or inside lane, but Blake Murray right up against that wall as he gets a huge run out of the corner. Great job by him.
Cody DeForge, it looked like he possibly made contact with, I think it was Lane Phillips. Phillips was up on the outside, and maybe DeForge expected Phillips to have a bigger run because it looked like he just kind of went to the wall, and unfortunately there was a truck in between him and the wall, and he spun to the inside, but it was a great job saving it, and that means we're going to keep it green. We're talking about Lane Phillips. He just got passed by Craig Schroeder, and he is on the move. Schroeder in the 56 machine for Sim Motion started 13th. He's up to 4th.
Yeah, Blake Murray once again ripping that outside wall really well. Or he's really good at running that line. You don't really see a lot of drivers trying to do it. Nearly clips the wall, though.
Yeah, he was either really close or he did. It looked like you couldn't even fit a piece of paper in between him and the wall there. But isn't going to deter him. He's going to go right back to that top line. He's in between the seam and the outside wall and coming off of turn 2. He is going to try and close in a little bit on Matthew Hutchinson, but it kind of isn't working as much as it was late in the last run.
Yeah, not really working, like you just said, as we see Matthew Hutchinson doing a great job kind of moving to that white line in 1 and 2, right on that white line. Really good rotation for him.
And the battle is on for the 4th position. Schroeder back under attack from Phillips. They go side by side, very different lanes. You could fit 3 trucks maybe in between them in the center of the corner, but coming off, you can't fit anything. As they go single file, Schroeder continues to hold on to the spot. Lane Phillips trying to find a way around that 56 machine.
As now we see Blake Murray move to that second lane, not really running the top anymore. Kind of figured out it's not really working as he expected it to be working. Kind of keeping pace now with 90, even maybe, or with the 90 machine, even maybe catching just a tiny bit.
Yeah, and this is the kind of the trial run after the trial run, I guess, where you're finding out, well, you know what lines work and don't work, but with the track as wide as Chicagoland, there's still so much more to test out. And Blake Murray is trying to get all that testing done early so that by the end of this race, he knows where he can run and where he can't run. So he is trying out all those different lanes.
Yeah, definitely has the one up on Matthew Hutchinson, as
Caution.
we actually have a yellow on lap 36.
Joe Hudson is around coming out of turn 4. And we're going to go to the HVTV replay. It starts a lot earlier than turn 4, that's for sure. Contact there with Ira Colas into the outside wall. But that isn't even the caution. We don't even see the caution until another half a lap later. Oh my goodness!
Oh!
Ty Dickinson kind of sends it in, and I think he didn't expect Hudson to be that slow in that lane. It almost seemed like Hudson was struggling to find a place to put the truck where he was out of the way, which can be very difficult, especially when you're approaching the corner where the apron is not always a viable option if you have too much speed. And tried to catch it all the way through 3 and 4, and then eventually just lost it and parked it up by the outside wall. A really, really long crash.
Yeah, very long crash indeed. Has some right side and left side damage. 49 machine. As once again under yellow. Lap 37 of 120 currently, as we see the 90 stay out. Same with Blake Murray. Most of the field does stay out after they did just pit. Last yellow taking fuel and tires. No one on pit road at the moment, but we might see the 49 go down and try to repair damage. 29 on pit road, 49, yes.
Yeah, and Joe Hudson coming out in pit lane. He's taking the EOL as well with the claim on that one. And such a really weird caution. You don't see something like that just happen. It literally felt like it was not stopping. As you're going to see Ty Dickinson is going to get one of his laps back as he is the lucky dog.
Yeah, Ty Dickinson passing on the outside as 49 once again taking that damage on pit road. Joe Hudson does have that side damage, which once again, Peter, you mentioned it earlier as last week at Kern County, you could get a little bit of aero damage, wouldn't really affect you, but here at Chicago definitely plays a huge factor. Could slow down this car massively.
Yeah, and joining him on pit road was Ira Colas, who also had damage because Colas was the driver who got kind of sandwiched into the wall originally on the back straightaway coming out of turn 2. A lot of damage. You can only read about half the number on the door.
Now, iRacing recently updated these trucks aero package, and the side skirt damage can definitely just a little wrinkle to it can settle this car like crazy. The car will feel completely different in the corner, even on exit. So you want to get that repaired as much as you can. Otherwise, the truck is going to feel completely different with how you started.
Yeah, and I think Ty Dickinson can attest to that. After he got his damage, he had an incredibly rough run just trying to hold on to the truck and unfortunately ended with a spin. And I think people are probably looking at that incident and saying, okay, I don't want to risk it with my damage. I'm going to come down and get it fixed up so that I don't lose any more spots than I need to.
Yeah, as now next time by, we're going to go green. Or, sorry, next lap, we're going to take the one to go and go green. As the 65, Brandon Zimmerman, who we saw running third, was doing really well, but really couldn't get past Blake Murray as he was running the outside and was also under pressure by the car behind him of Craig Schroeder, who's in that fourth position. So we're going to see all three manufacturers rounding off the top four. It's going to be Chevy Toyota front row and then Chevy Ford right behind them.
And Matthew Hutchinson probably going to take the top here again as he has on every restart. And Blake Murray is going to be on the bottom. And it's almost a deja vu of the last one, except for Schroeder being up there, because Murray got a huge shove from Zimmerman on the last restart, and it really, I wouldn't say it helped him get to, it didn't really help him get to Hutchinson, but it helped him not lose many spots because Hutchinson got such a good restart. He was kind of just able to slot in behind him. I'm interested to see what Schroeder is going to do now being a factor up here.
We also saw Blake Murray not really get the restart he wanted. Kind of spun his tires just a tiny bit. So did the 90 machine, though, of Matthew Hutchinson, but got it rolling way quicker than Blake did. So we've seen that outside line prevail on the restarts. We might see it again here. Just a few seconds.
Yeah, it is really interesting how much wheel spin has been going on today for like just a mile and a half, where the gearing is normally pretty long. It is very interesting to see wheel spin be that important, even on like cold tires, not even worn tires.
Also, something we haven't really mentioned earlier is entering turn 3 and 4, there is a slight bump that can unsettle this truck a little bit, which I'm sure some of these drivers have figured that out or noticed that. But once again, we are green here at Chicago. Blake Murray doesn't really get the restart he wanted once again as we see Matthew Hutchinson kind of pull away on that outside lane.
Hutchinson, a much better restart, continuing the trend that he's carried on. He had Schroeder right on his rear bumper, but he got a huge pull on him as soon as they basically entered the restart zone. Hutchinson, though, not driving away from Blake Murray. Murray looks to the inside, thinks better of it, tucks back in as they go into 3 and 4.
Yeah, Blake Murray kind of checks up a little bit, looking to his left rear quarter panel. He's there. He's now on his inside as they almost make a little bit of contact out of turn 4.
It almost looks like Murray's trying to take the air off the 90 machine. We saw it not here, but in the league showdown at Vegas. That was a really important thing that you could do, is take the air off the spoiler of the truck in front of you, and it would really upset the truck. Maybe trying to use that strategy to almost like virtually bump and run Matthew Hutchinson without even making contact.
And Matthew Hutchinson drove it really deep into turn 1 compared to some of the trucks behind him. Never really seen him dive it in that deep this entire race, but great job by him because he made it stick and made it work. But once again, Blake Murray coming right back behind him.
Yeah, we'll see if he found something there. You see Hutchinson dives it into the corner and drives all the way to that white line, and then lets the truck wash up on the exit, but Blake Murray goes all the way upstairs to the outside wall and just rips it all the way through the corner. Very different lines coming into play. It's a lot closer in 3 and 4. 1 and 2 is kind of the wild card corner for these guys right now.
Yeah, Blake Murray got a little bit a little loose in the middle of the corner, but right behind him, Lane Phillips making his way back up through the field now in the third position. We saw him involved in that first yellow. Just got spun around just a tiny bit and had to go to the rear as once again he's loose out of turn 2. Great save by him.
Yeah, Phillips finding himself up in the third for the first time since that one spin. On the back straightaway, John Fowler also got really sideways, had to catch the truck, but they all got through clean, just trying to work through this short period with the tires where they are heating up, but also you don't want to overheat them. You don't want to heat them too quickly. It's like if you have like cold water in a glass and then you dump boiling water in it, it'll crack the glass. That's what you don't want to do with your tires. One car caught the wall ahead. I think it was Fowler. Just a slight bit of contact. I heard the scrape, but everybody keeps it clean.
Blake Murray now to the lead as we saw the 90 make a little bit of a mistake. Now Lane Phillips is attacking that 90, looking to the inside and entering the tribal. But Blake Murray kind of pulling away at the moment. But Lane Phillips, once again, battling for that second position on the inside of that 90 machine of Matthew Hutchinson.
Yeah, deja vu. I think he's gonna, but this time he's kind of on the other side of it. He's playing the William McKellar role, and he actually completes the pass. Phillips gonna get a shove down the back straightaway from the 90 machine, and now is gonna try and chase down the 83 of Blake Murray.
See Matthew Hutchinson kind of going down to that second lane, but Lane Phillips kind of following Blake Murray towards that top lane, trying to get as much draft as he can and trying to get the run on the exit. He's making it work, but still under attack from that 90 behind him.
Yeah, out front, it's Toyota ahead of Ford and Chevy. 3 manufacturers lead the field, but Toyota trumps them all currently with Blake Murray at the helm, and he's pulling away from those 2 behind him.
As we see kind of a 5-car breakaway, that 6th position is kind of towards the back, but the fifth car in line kind of collected the wall in the corner, slowed him down big time. Probably gonna, or now he's under attack for that top 5 position, as now it's a 4-car breakaway.
Yeah, Fowler caught the outside wall going through the middle of 3 and 4, and as it is typical on iRacing, you catch that wall just a little bit, and it'll just suction you to it. You can't get off of it. Oh my goodness!
Behind him.
Leroy Kobletz got put in the wall. It looked like maybe a push gone wrong down the back straightaway.
Now John Fowler's under attack by the 49 machine who we saw involved in that last yellow. That's Joe Hudson. Still has that right side damage, but not letting it get to him as he's kind of prevailing on that inside lane at the moment, entering turn 1, as he does get a little bit loose, but keeping a hold of that car. Oh, as we have the 5 hard into the outside wall in the back. That is Kensley Smith. Huge hit. Started 22nd, made his way up to the top 10. Now has heavy damage.
Oh my goodness.
Kensley Smith hard into that outside wall, as we're going to take a look at our HVTV replay and see exactly what happened.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that 5 machine. Dove low on the 3, and then I think the 3 just did not know the 5 was coming.
Yeah, the 3 went down, hooked the 5 car, the 3 also sideways. I think the 5 might have tagged. No, he didn't. I thought he tagged, I believe that was the 22
Wow.
of Gary Wright. Gary Wright kind of kept it straight.
Big hit. Multiple trucks involved, unfortunately, with that one. And with this quick caution break, we are going to send it off to do a quick commercial break and pay the bills and let these drivers just kind of pace around so you guys don't have to watch the caution. So we will see you guys just shortly.
Welcome to Scary Strokes, where fun meets fright, where every experience transports you to a world of fun. Play 18 holes of blacklight mini-golf in ancient Egypt, a haunted house, and beyond the grave. Step inside our virtual reality arena, where you take control of video games and virtual worlds. Battle robots, shoot zombies, and compete against your friends. Throw your next birthday with our VIP Party Pack. Our party pros are ready to entertain you with a fright fest you'll never forget. Perfect for an action-packed date night full of flirty fun. Our state-of-the-art arcade has the latest games with the coolest prizes. Be sure to feast on some tasty morsels in the Graveyard Grill. So come on, bring your ghoulish gang over to Scary Strokes, where every experience matters.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And hello, welcome back to the Sweet Tea Gang SSR Truck Series here at Chicagoland. Still under caution. Lap 51 complete right now as Blake Murray is currently your leader. Pace car lights are still on. Some drivers taking a pit lane, but most of them just to do the damage that they had. I will say, I mean, obviously a lot of drivers involved in that one, but one big change that we saw was Matthew Hutchinson took the 90 machine down pit lane. He was up front, off pit strategy now to those leaders. So we're going to see where it's going to end up with him out kind of at the end of this one, because now he's off of what everybody else is on.
Yeah, taking that extra set of tires, trying to get that better grip, as maybe he didn't feel very comfortable with the car. But Kensley Smith, who we saw the number 5 machine have that hard hit into the outside wall, now leaving pit road, tried to take as much damage as he could. Right behind him, leaving pit road, is Ira Calhas, and the 29 machine still has that heavy left side damage. But we are now 1 to green. Once again, that 83 machine is going to lead us to the green flag. That's the 83 machine of Blake Murray. On his outside, Lane Phillips, that 6 machine. Looks like Blake Murray is going to choose that inside lane. Hopefully he's going to prevail as the restart is now under his control. Lane Phillips trying to do the same.
I will say, for reference, Hutchinson is on the same pit strategy now as Joe Hudson and John Fowler. They all came in at the same time, and everybody else in front of them is on 27-lap older tires. So we'll see how they're going to be able to charge through the field here. You saw it there, Hutchinson leading a ton of laps. You saw it on the graphic. But it's all going to be in the hands of Blake Murray out front. As he's actually, this is going to be the first restart that he's actually going to get the lead down.
Yeah, so it's going to be Toyota versus Ford. But I did like what you said about those new tires, as once again everyone in front of them are on old tires, so they're definitely going to be faster, but it's definitely going to be hard for them to work their way up through the field. But now we're going to go green here once again at Chicago, as Blake Murray kind of spins his tires on the restart, but does kind of take off with Lane Phillips going to try to pull in behind him, entering turn 1.
Yeah, they were kind of spread out there on the restart. Murray didn't quite have Zimmerman on his rear bumper like he's had before, but I mean, I think it kind of works to his advantage because if Murray spins those tires and Zimmerman is all up in like the rear deck lid of him, he might get turned around there. And because he wasn't, Murray was able to pull away and actually take the lead or keep the lead and extend it a bit.
Yeah, Matthew Hutchinson made a 3-wide move as now the 16 gets hooked right behind him. Yellow flag as he saved it. He kept it straight, but they did throw the yellow. But Matthew Hutchinson made a 3-wide move on the back stretch, trying to gain as much positions as he can after he pit there. And then right on his outside behind him, the 16. That's the 16 machine of
Brandon
Brandon yeah,
Filippo, sorry.
got tagged from behind and got hooked around. As we're gonna take a look at our HVTV replay and show you guys exactly what happened.
Yeah, it looked like Joe Hudson got in the back of him, maybe misjudging the corner entry speed. An incredible save by the 16 truck. Really good job with all the trucks around him as well, avoiding him. Um, that could get really tedious, but I mean,
Yeah,
luckily it doesn't really end up with much damage.
yeah, not really any damages. Now we're seeing the leaders take it on the pit road after they saw the 90 machine take it onto pit road. That was Matthew Hutchinson the last time by last yellow. But once again, Blake Murray, Lane Phillips, the top two, taking it on the pit road. Right behind him, the 48 machine of Xander DeForge also taking it into pit road,
Yeah,
trying to
but
get.
he did not bring everybody with him though, which is kind of interesting. Zimmerman stayed out, Schroeder stayed out. I feel like I would have expected them to come down when um, Lane Phillips and Blake Murray came down.
Yeah, I also would have expected them to go into pit road also to try to take those tires, but I guess they thought otherwise, and they're gonna stay out and try to prevail with that, which I don't really think we'll see work with these drivers on 20 plus lap newer tires. So I think it's definitely going to be a change that we will see here.
Yeah,
But yeah, this
the advantage of the last time when everybody was on 27 lap old tires and you had the three drivers on newer tires was there were so many cars, so many trucks that were on the old tires that there was kind of a buffer, but now that is non-existent. There's three trucks on 30 lap old tires and then the four behind them are all on 5 lap old tires. So they're going to have to really fight to stay up there even for like a lap.
yeah, Brandon Zimmerman, different strategy. We have seen him very fast today. Started fifth, great lap in qualifying, was really fast in practice as well. We've seen him race very well today. Just an interesting strategy call. His lowest position we've seen today, sixth. So he's been up front this entire race. So it's definitely going to be interesting trying to see him prevail on those old tires. And it could work, it could not. It's going to be something we're going to have to see, and time will tell.
Yeah, it'll definitely make it interesting. I'm excited to see how these drivers who just came in are gonna vary to the drivers who came in 5 laps ago or so. Because Hutchison now is ahead of the ball. He is on fairly new tires. They're not even that old because there's a caution in there. So I mean, you could almost say he's on almost the same tires as like Blake Murray, who just put it on that last one, but he has so many more trucks in between him now that he did before.
Yeah, he's going to have to work through those trucks that stayed out. And Blake Murray's looking to follow the drivers who pit before him through the field. So it's definitely, like you said, going to be interesting to watch them make their way throughout the field. But we are gonna go 1 to green here with the front row going to be Chevy versus Ford. Once again, Zimmerman on the inside. On his outside is the 56 of Craig Schroeder and that Ford machine, who started 13th. Great job making his way throughout the field up front.
It is
Uh,
very interesting to see that nobody else has decided to take the top at any point when they've had control except for Hutchinson. He's the only truck we've seen actually take advantage of that leader's choice of a lane, and I wonder if there's uh there's something that he knows that he's found that not really anybody else has been able to use yet because he without fail will take the top when he has the choice to.
Yeah, as we see him, he's starting on the top, that second row on the outside. So I think he's gonna most likely prevail on this restart. I think he's gonna get by the 65 and the 56 fairly quick and kind of pull away, as we're gonna have to see a lot of the other fast drivers work their way throughout these lap cars. Blake Murray definitely gonna be interesting. Definitely gonna have to work very hard, as he's gonna have a lot of slow cars. But once again, the pace car is gonna hook a hard left, and we're gonna get ready to go back green.
Yeah, the field is going to be in control of Zimmerman as they go into the restart zone. Watch for tire spins. Old tires for those front three. Zimmerman gets away very, very clean. Hutchinson not allowed to step out until past the start-finish line. He decides to stay in behind a Schroeder as they dive into turn 1 and 2.
We see most of the cars go down to that inside lane towards the white line, but once again, the guy on newer tires, Matthew Hutchinson, ripping that outside lane as it's going to prevail outside of the corner. He's looking to be on the outside of the 56 entering turn 3.
Brandon Zimmerman trying to take this opportunity to run away while he can, try and build a distance, but that opportunity is going away because right behind him, Matthew Hutchinson is closing car lengths on the straightaways and even more in the corners as he dives in right behind the 65 machine. He looks slow to the inside of Zimmerman. He has no problem wrapping it. New leader, well, I should say, new leader on this run, but he's not afraid to be up front. Matthew Hutchinson back to the lead.
Yeah, great job by him working his way through those slow cars. Definitely something we expected to see, but kind of clearing that field. Those old tires, once again, aren't prevailing or working the way they really wanted it to. But Blake Murray kind of stuck. He's not really making his way throughout the field, as he's currently sitting in 11th. Not really, you know, working his way up through the field as he really wanted to.
And he's not the only driver who's stuck. DeForge and Lane Phillips both struggling to get past these slower cars. Phillips has been squeezed up a bit a couple of times. DeForge almost had contact off the corner. They are really struggling, and all this time that they are not able to close in on those front two of Hutchinson and Fowler now is time lost to try and close in, and it's time gained for Hutchinson to possibly save his stuff right now because he doesn't even need to drive that hard to get a big lead. So he can save, have a good gap, and then when it's time to go, he won't even really have anybody close to him if he plays it right.
Yeah, as he pulling away like crazy right now, and you can definitely tell he's taking it easier than he was earlier when he had the pressure behind him, as he's definitely more relaxed. Entering turn 1 now.
Zimmerman finally kind of getting swallowed up by DeForge and Lane Phillips. They almost went 3 wide coming off the corner, and once again, Phillips was kind of squeezed, and, well, he's had enough of it. He finally just got by him, not really trying to waste any more time than he has to.
Yeah, Lane Phillips behind Cody DeForge entering turn 3. That's the 3rd and 4th position, who are on new tires as well, trying to catch the leader, the 90 machine.
Blake Murray jumped 3 wide there in the middle.
Yeah, Blake Murray 3 wide, now 2 wide. Now single file, he cleared the 2 cars behind him, entering turn 1. Great job by him.
I think he realizes that he cannot let Hutchinson get too much of a lead. He's got to take advantage. I mean, Hutchinson doesn't have a lead. Fowler actually just jumped to the inside of him. He closed tremendously on the 90, and now John Fowler's going to lead for the first time today.
Yeah, John Fowler, who started 6th, now leading this race. Great job by him, who was also on the new tires, worked his way around Matthew Hutchinson. Great job working his way up through the field.
Yeah, and he really made that pass easy. Maybe Hutchinson is saving his stuff. I mean, these two have a breakaway at the moment over DeForge and Phillips. Sorry, DeForge and Phillips, who are battling at the moment. As I say that, Lane Phillips proves me wrong, and he gets around the outside of him. But, I mean, these two, if they want, they can kind of just sit bumper to bumper and try and pull out a little bit of a lead and save their tires while they do that, because they have some time before the drivers behind them get to them.
Yeah, that's definitely something I would do. We would have a huge lead if we just stay single file and take it easy, kind of save our tires, as the cars behind us are going to have to push as hard as they can to get back up to us. But once again, that 90 machine kind of run that second lane while John Fowler's right on that white line.
Yeah, and Blake Murray is closing in now. He's to the back bumper of DeForge. really ripping the wall like we've seen the Kyle Larson line right above that top seam even, and he is using it to his full advantage, but I feel like this is the hardest we've seen him drive today, and except for the start of the race, this is the hardest he's really had to drive to get through the field.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting trying to see him work his way up through these slow cars, and which he has done. It's interesting to watch these guys as John Fowler got a little bit loose off of turn 4. 90 is going to have a huge run. He looks to the inside. They're now too wide for the lead. That's going to give Lane Phillips, the third car, the position to catch up as they're still 2 wide in turn 1 and 2.
Hutchinson looked low, looked high, and they eventually used the high side to take it. Kind of sold him a dummy and went around. No contest really. Passed him just as easily as Fowler passed him. So now Matthew Hutchinson is back in the lead position, and he's going to try and drive away like he was earlier.
Yeah, once again, he prevails or races very well on the outside lane as he's very strong on the outside lane. Gets a huge run on exit. Also, kind of fast in the corner, but we see him arcing it down to that second lane as we see John Fowler also running that second lane, but doesn't really have as big as an arc as the car in front of him does.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Fowler truck is going to handle at the latter half of a run, late run. We haven't really seen him up like he was up front, but we weren't talking about him much until now. The Old Bay 94 ripping the Maryland flag on the rear spoiler there. He's showing up all of a sudden, basically right after halfway. So it's interesting to see what he learned about his truck in that first half.
Yeah, as we're now past halfway through this race, we've seen green flag runs, we've seen carnage, we've seen a lot of drivers working their way throughout the pack. They've been to the rear of the pack, they've been to the front. They've kind of experienced it all only halfway in this race, as they're going to have to kind of work their way to the front or try to prevail late in this run.
Yeah, you saw a little bit of a battle there in the back. The 22 machine of Gary Wright and the 16 of San Filippo. We saw Filippo get sideways in the last caution and then ended up saving it. Those two were just in a battle that just fizzled out right there. And back to a little higher up, we're going to see DeForge versus DeForge as they roll into 3.
Yeah, as they're 2x2 coming out of turn 4 now. It's going to be the 24 and the 48. Both brothers, as the 48 now prevails out the corner, gets a run on the high side and clears him. Now they're both Ford versus Toyota.
Yeah, and Xander does a masterful job completing that pass. Cody DeForge looks to be struggling a little bit. I saw him catch the wall not too long ago. Not very heavily, but maybe that truck is just not handling how he would want it to. He's got 21 laps on those tires, which is the same as Hutchinson and Fowler, but maybe burn them up a little harder.
Yeah, as the battles on the track, they're not really even battling, they're just near each other. But once again, Matthew Hutchinson kind of still pulling away from that car in second of Fowler.
Yeah, right now, really spread out. Basically, everybody in the field very spread out. And we talked about this, that this was a real possibility. Once these tires start to wear, the drivers start to get more spread out, and that takes away chances of cautions, which means even more spread out, and then you get pit stops, and then really it spreads out. So at this point, I mean, it might be a shift to a full strategy race, and it's like it literally shifted like with a switch, because we saw that quick difference in strategy with when people came into the pits, and that kind of started it all.
Yeah, definitely changed up how this race kind of playing out at the moment. But Blake Murray making his way up to Lane Phillips as he's kind of right on his rear bumper. Coming out of turn 4, great job by him. As we saw him start towards the rear, was stuck behind a few cars, but eventually made his way through them as he's, still on the rear bumper of Lane Phillips entering turn 1.
Yeah, and lap times have dropped off tremendously. They're in the 33s now. And that includes Blake Murray, who is trying to rip around the outside of Lane Phillips. And looks like he's going to complete that pass with his preferred line. So now Lane Phillips is going to tuck in and try and go to school, learn a bit, and maybe try and follow that 83 up to the leaders.
Yeah, Blake Murray to that third position. Just focus on trying to catch the 2 cars in front of him. As now they're passing a lap car. That is the 5 car who we saw hard into the outside wall. Kinsley Smith. Looks like he has most of that damage repaired, but car definitely still doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, and there's a lot of probably internal suspension damage that you can't see, but especially with the iRacing updated damage model, it can be really easy to bend or break that suspension, and a lot of the time that repair will not be a complete fix no matter how much it says it is. So unfortunately he is dropping very fast, but it is good that he was nice enough to hop out of the way so that the leaders can keep on battling.
Yeah, Blake Murray kind of pulling away from Lane Phillips at the moment, as we've seen him very fast on speed. Kind of the one to beat pretty much every week. He shows a lot of speed every week. Great driver overall, as he's kind of catching little by little to the front 2 cars who we saw were battling earlier.
Yeah, well, you know what's really going to be interesting about this run is we saw the couple drivers stay out before this run. Zimmerman, Honeycutt both stayed out on that run, along with Schroeder, I believe, was the other one. And now those 3 are going to be kind of, they're definitely on the back foot here. They have to really make their decision, and they're off of everybody else. They have, I would say, plenty of laps on their tires, 52. So I think we see them coming in probably pretty soon.
Yeah, we're probably going to see them come in pretty soon. I bet they were hoping that there would be a yellow once they stayed out, just hoping to maybe get a few laps led, but not really working in their favor. As still leading this field, the 90 truck of Hutchinson. Very, very fast truck. We've seen all race up front. Very good job by him.
Yeah, and right now you're watching the Colas brothers going around. That's Sam and Ira Colas, 28 and 29. They are right near each other on the track. Both drivers having kind of an interesting day. Ira got involved in a couple incidents, specifically that one with Joe Hudson, where Ira got kind of put in the wall, not much of a place to go. Sam Colas' day has been slightly better, and he is trying to drive away from his brother at the moment.
Now Blake Murray, that 3rd position car who we saw pit recently. We saw him, he's been running that outside lane up against the wall, but in 1 and 2 he was down by that white line, the white paint, who we see the cars in front of him. Oh, as he actually collects the outside wall to turn 4, Blake Murray is going to get some right side damage out of that and lose some time, as he was catching up little by little, but collects the right side of his truck into the wall. So a little bit of damage for him, not something he really wanted to happen, and not something really anyone wants to happen to their truck.
Yeah, maybe a little too much of a push using that outside line, and you can see how much time he lost. Lane Phillips is now back in the frame, and I'm not saying he's going to be able to capitalize on it, but I will say Blake Murray is going to be losing some time with that one. There's no doubt John Fowler and Matthew Hutchinson are going farther away into the front windshield.
Yeah, as honestly, if I'm the 90 machine of Matthew Hutchinson, I kind of hope this goes green. You know, you have the advantage on pit road, with that front pit stall on that green flag run. I think he's definitely hoping he doesn't get a yellow, because he's definitely shown a lot of speed on these long green flag runs, and definitely at the moment is the truck to beat. He's doing really well on pace and saving his tires. As once again he's kind of pulling away from that second car, but Blake Murray, we saw hit the wall, is now kind of catching back up to that second truck.
Yeah, he's trying to regroup what he lost there when he made contact, and it's, I mean, it's unfortunate that he's going to have to do that, but that's kind of just part of it. It is going to be interesting, though, to see when drivers maybe decide to make their pit stops, because I would assume they all have at least one more they got to make, and maybe with about 40 to go, those front 2 have 33 laps on those tires as they cross the line. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could split it pretty evenly if you came in within a couple laps or so.
Yeah, as I'm not shocked if we'll see drivers, even the front 3 who pit recently, bring it into pit road soon, maybe trying to cut it a little bit early. But it's definitely going to be something we'll definitely see very, very soon in this race.
Yeah, and if you do that undercut and you get that big gap, I mean, we've seen how much how important it is to get out front, even if you are kind of on older tires. Matthew Hutchinson technically pitted sooner before Blake Murray, so he has older tires, but he's been able to stay out front along with John Fowler. Those two got the gap early in this run and have been able to use it as a cushion so that nobody else has really been able to catch them.
Yeah, as we've seen Blake Murray kind of using the entire track, or as much as the track he can use, even on the front stretch, kind of arcing it down to that apron, running the apron, who the front two drivers aren't really doing. As we've seen, it works on with speed, but it definitely can, you know, work up your tires a little bit more.
First trucks come into the pit lane, the 13 machine, the 56 and the 16. That is two of those drivers are the two of the three who stayed out on that last caution. The last one in that group is Brandon Zimmerman, who he is yet to make the trip. Actually, no, he did make the trip down pit lane. He was the first one out of that group to come down, and those other two were kind of chasing. So while they are on a different strategy than those front group, maybe we see that move up the other driver's pit strategy just a little bit, because these guys are going to be setting heater lap times right now compared to your leaders.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be way faster. As we see, Matthew Hutchinson takes a big slide off of turn 2. Lost a lot of time. Gives the chance for that second position of John Fowler to catch up. As, look at that! Matthew Hutchinson is entering pit road.
Early pit
Same
stop,
with Lane
earlier than
Phillip.
I would expect.
Yeah, Matthew Hutchinson, Lane Phillips both entering pit road.
But you gotta imagine this forces John Fowler and Blake Murray's hands.
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely thinking, oh wow, that was definitely earlier than I expected, but now I gotta figure out, oh, when do I pit? You know, these drivers are gonna be on new tires, they're definitely gonna be way faster. You know, we could see them pit even this time by, or in 5 laps. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see exactly when they pit.
Fowler running the top, he's not coming in, but Blake Murray is. The 83 machine is gonna... Oh, he almost missed it. He had a really weird pit entry. Sorry to scare everybody there. Blake Murray is going to get into the pits. Look pretty clean. Fowler stays out. I mean, you know, if I'm John Fowler, I would look at this as each lap you're staying out here is a lap that everybody else is going to gain on you, or is time everybody else is going to gain on you when this all cycles out. I feel like you cannot stay out too much longer.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting as Matthew Hutchinson now leaves pit road, sitting 7th, now entering turn 3. Right behind him, the 24 machine.
Fowler's down.
Bowler's now down from the lead.
And that leaves Xander DeForge out as your leader, yet to pit. Cody DeForge comes down as well. And see a lot of drivers on pit lane now.
Yeah, as we see Matthew Hutchinson kind of pass Blake Murray on the outside. Blake Murray definitely slowed down, or didn't really have the fastest pit entry he really wanted. As we saw him kind of, it was a little bit weird. Kind of collected the apron and went back up the track. Lost a lot of time there, but now filing in, gonna have a lot of speed. Gonna have to go as fast as he can to try to catch that 90 truck.
Yeah, DeForge comes down pit lane. I will say, like you said, Hutchinson gained a lot of time there on Blake Murray. Like, he already had the lead when he came in, but he extended it big time. Hutchinson is exiting turn 2 at the moment. Blake Murray is in the center, so while Murray, I don't doubt, has the speed to get back up there, we've shown he has speed, he's going to have to use a lot more of his tires. When you pitted this early, like, you're going to need those tires at the end.
Yeah, I agree, but what's definitely interesting is John Fowler. You know, we saw him stay out longer than the 90 machine, who he was not too far behind when the 90 entered pit road, but now look at him, very far behind from the 90 machine. Yeah, you have like an extra 3 lap better tires, but you know that it's definitely going to be interesting because it could help, but it also might not help enough. So it's the 90 still pulling away from Fowler and the 83 of Blake Murray.
Yeah, and I feel like with how much time you lost coming into pit lane, you're going to have to burn probably more than 3 laps of tires to even get back to kind of where you were. But, I mean, there's also the thought of, if we happen to get like a caution at some point towards the end, he's going to have, I guess, better tires if everybody decides to stay out. But that's also relying on a lot out of your control. feel like Matthew Hutchinson is probably in the best spot here out of anybody who came in.
I mean, yeah, Hutchinson, very, very great driver. Very, very, good strategy. He timed it perfectly, but I still think it's possible to see a yellow as we see a bunch of these fast cars trying to make their ways throughout the slower cars.
Oh!
It's Matthew Hutchinson! Contact with the 5, exactly as I was saying that. Matthew Hutchinson makes contact with the 5 and exiting turn 2. I'm not exactly sure if that gave him any right side damage. It might have.
Oh, what a terrible spot to catch a lap car. It almost looked like the 5 was... the 5 kind of sat in the middle of the track, and unfortunately, Matthew Hutchinson made contact. The broadcast shot doesn't really show much damage, but that truck also might just... It might be driving differently. It's gonna be hard to tell from here.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, if you get a little bit of side skirt damage, it can change how this truck reacts in the corners. It can go from, oh yeah, it's a little bit sideways, but it's handleable, to completely sideways and you just can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, and Blake Murray was seeing that ahead, way out in his windshield, knowing that that's gotta be beneficial. Even if the 90 doesn't have damage, he closed in more. That allowed him to close that gap just a little bit. Still one driver yet to pit. That's Sam Colas in the 28, the last one on the track.
As we see Blake Murray having to make his way through a slow car once again on the backstretch as he looks to his outside. So the slow car is just going to let him by. Easier said than done.
Yeah, and I think at the moment, Sam Colas is probably just waiting for a caution. But 45 laps out on the track, so once this pit cycle does shuffle out, it will be Matthew Hutchinson. Obviously, doesn't show that right now on the ticker, but it will eventually end up that way. But the gap between him and Blake Murray has shrunk a lot, specifically since that contact with the lap car.
Now just 25 laps to go. Blake Murray, yeah, like you just mentioned, their gap has shrunk a little bit. But it's definitely going to be interesting. Is there enough time for him to catch up, or is Matthew Hutchinson just going to have to kind of worry about what's in front of him and run how he's doing?
Yeah, 25, 24 laps to go at the line. This is the whole length of that first run we had in this race. So we were talking about it. Whatever happens in that first run, you could use to be beneficial later on in the race. And this is the mark. This is where it is time to go. Time to use what you learned and take advantage of it. And whoever learned the most might be parking it in victory lane. But it's going to be hard to tell until we get there.
Yeah, Matthew Hutchinson running that second lane in turn 3 and 4, while we see Blake Murray behind him running that high side. So we've seen him very fast on that high side in both corners, both in the corner and on exit. So it's definitely something he's capable of doing. He's very fast doing it, and as we can see now, it's still catching up ever so slightly.
Yeah, and Blake Murray being able to carry that speed around the high side is really beneficial. He was about 2/10 quicker last time by than Hutchinson was. But I feel like you also put a lot more stress on those tires. They're going faster, they got a lot more side force on them, and it could eventually come to bite you. But I feel like Blake Murray's done enough this race where he knows how to do it properly. Hutchinson slid kind of big time on the exit of the corner there. I don't know if it was the dirty air off Sam Colas, but that truck kind of dirt tracked coming out of 2.
Yeah, but he's Sam Colas, our leader. After staying out, he's going to get passed by the 90, who's now going to take the lead. If you're Sam, are you thinking, oh, well, I got to pit now? It's about time. I don't want to go a lap down. I think now's the shot, but it's definitely going to be interesting. As is he going to let Blake Murray by, or is he, going to try to battle him for that second position? So it's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, if you're Sam Colas, you've committed to a strategy that is not working out, because what you needed was a caution to come out before you got passed. Even if you pit now, you're going to lose a lap. So I think it's almost time to just bite the bullet. Or maybe you just hope that there's a caution right before you have to come in. It's not out of the possibility. Blake Murray jumps to the inside. Sam Colas didn't really fight it. And I think is just hoping, praying that a rogue yellow goes flying in the air.
Yeah, Blake Murray's definitely caught a lot, gotten really way closer to Hutchinson than when he first exited pit road, because he was almost a half a track in front of him. Now he's half a corner. So great job by him. Blake Murray showing a lot of speed, catching up to Hutchinson very quickly with less than 20 laps to go now.
Yeah, this is really going to shake up because it's basically the two fastest trucks all day. We've seen it. It's going to come down to those two completely different lines. Which one will... Oh my gosh, a
Oh,
caution!
yellow. That changes up everything. As we see Matthew Hutchinson, it's the 5 car once again. The 5 car we saw heavy into the outside wall earlier on. That's the 5 car of Kensley Smith. I'm sure if you're Hutchinson or even Blake Murray, you are not happy to see that yellow, as that is going to change up how this race is going to play out with just under less than 20 laps to go. As if I were them, I'd enter pit road to just get that extra set of tires, more grip. But we're definitely
Man,
going to see how their strategy plays out, as we're going to take a look at our HVTV replay and see exactly what happened
I'll tell
with
you
that
what, St.
5 car.
Paulus got cut a break.
Yeah, he just got loose on his own and then tried to save it, just got sideways even more, and kept it off the track on the apron, but you saw the leaders coming up. They just threw it to be extra safe. Once again, Kensley Smith started 22nd. Not really the race he wanted. I was involved in that incident earlier, got a lot of damage. That damage definitely could have played a factor in that wreck with how the car handled. So it's definitely something we need to, or something he needs to pay attention to, as once again, we're under yellow, 18 laps to go. Might see the leaders come in once again to take tires, maybe not.
Yeah, this is the money stop right here. If you're gonna come down, it's man, it's gonna get really interesting. Hutchinson and Murray, the fastest two trucks all day, completely two different lines. We're almost about to see them come together and battle it out. But we are going to see that now, and it's going to be on a lot smaller of a scale. Basically like a little shootout for these guys. I feel like almost if you take tires here, you have a huge advantage if you still have some tires to take.
Yeah, if you still have that extra set of tires, that's definitely going to help you out. One car we do see entering pit road is McKellar, that 75 machine, who we've seen up front throughout this race, but kind of fell back a little bit throughout that green flag run.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's not had really the best day after kind of what happened early on. I mean, this really shakes a lot up. There's big changes coming in with this one. Like, it's kind of hard to tell. It's hard to predict. The restarts have been really important. Like, getting those good restarts has been really important. But both drivers who are starting on the front row have been really, really good at getting restarts, like, to a T.
Yeah, they've been very fast on the restarts. We've seen, the 90 has taken a few slides, but it really hasn't done anything to him. He's managed to fight back, right back, and able to, kind of show a lot of speed. Same with Blake Murray, who we've seen also very fast. And I wouldn't be shocked. We've seen the 90 machine of Hutchinson choose the outside. I wouldn't be shocked if he chooses the outside once again with just under 15 to go next time we go green.
Yeah, which I feel like there's almost a benefit for Hutchinson to take the outside, not as much for himself, but also to get Blake Murray out of there, because Murray's dominant line has been the outside. That's how he's closed up on basically everybody today. And, like, it would... you're taking away his weapon right there, and he's going to have to go with stuff he might not be very familiar with, because for the last, I don't know, maybe 70 laps, 50 laps, he's been running the outside almost exclusively.
Yeah, as we're going to take the one to go next time by. Once again, it's going to be Chevy versus Toyota, the fastest cars we've seen throughout this race is the two fastest trucks, which once again, Blake Murray, we watched him in qualifying. It kind of started qualifying late, didn't get that second lap in, so he had to start towards the rear end of the field in 14th, mid-pack, and, we've seen him. He made his way up through the pack very quickly, up front, very early on. So he's definitely showed us how fast he really is, and same with that green flag run ads. He was catching the 90 truck, but now when they're together, it's going to be interesting as we're going to take the green flag this time by Toyota versus Chevy once again. And yeah, it doesn't shock me that the 90 of Hutchinson chooses that outside lane.
Yeah, it's a whole different story than what it's been for the last 70 laps or so. We're finally back to a restart, and It'll be very interesting. We've seen a lot of players who we've seen all day up front right now. A couple who haven't really been up there. Xander DeForge is in that 5th position. Sam Colas got really lucky with that caution coming out and is going to benefit to take 6th. And I believe fresh tires. Look for those fresher tires to possibly come into play.
I think they can definitely come into play, and I think it might have been the move if you're back there and you got nothing to lose. So it's definitely something we should watch because they can definitely make their way throughout the field very quickly. And one thing that kind of caught me off guard was the night whew, shoot, sorry. The third car on the outside lane stayed out after we saw him really didn't pit and got passed by the 90, but once again we're green at Chicago. Blake Murray gets loose or slides his tires on the restart.
Yeah, Hutchinson got a really good restart. Murray did not get as good of one. I'm kind of shocked the guys on the new tires did not get good starts either. One of those was the 28, and he's forced to the three wide on the high side. Hutchinson continuing to lead down the back straightaway, single file top 4 breakaway, and none of those guys have new tires. Wait for that charge possibly to come from behind.
Yeah, Blake Murray and Lane Phillips kind of running that outside wall, trying to get as much speed on exit as they can, and they do have a lot of speed. Blake Murray has a shot to make the move to the inside as he does. No, he does not. He decides to just get back single file behind the 90, not really making the move quite yet.
Kind of shocks me that Hutchinson doesn't try to go and use that top to take away Murray's line.
Really
take away the air. The dirty air is a lot more significant than it used to be with the new chassis updates. Try and use it to your advantage, as I think Murray's going to get the chance to do here as he jumps to the inside of Hutchinson. Blake Murray back to the lead and 3 wide for 3rd.
3 wide for 3rd. We saw for a quick second, but the 90 got really loose off of turn 2. Kind of gave the opportunity to Blake Murray to get him to make the move, as we see the 13 ripping that inside lane.
Brandon Honeycutt on new tires. He made the pit stop, made the call, and he's going to take the lead for the first time today.
Yeah, Brandon Honeycutt started 19th. Not really someone we thought would be up front or in this race at all, but, taking those new tires were definitely the right call, as now he's pulling away from the field. Great move by Brandon Honeycutt.
Yeah, and he's bringing Brandon Zimmerman as well with the new tires. Here comes the brigade of the drivers who came down there in that last caution, and they're swallowing up the 20-lap older tires of everybody who stayed out. Murray dropping back even more. Zimmerman and Schroeder now go to 2nd and 3rd. It's a whole shakeup in the front runners with only 10 to go at the line.
Yeah, last caution, I was kind of shocked that the 2 leaders really didn't enter pit road to get those new tires. It kind of caught me a little bit off guard because, 20-lap older tires definitely does something, as we see a car slide into the infield. Now into pit road. I don't know if we'll get a yellow. Looks like we're going to stay green at the moment, but 10 laps
John
to go.
Fowler.
Brennan Honeycutt kind of pulling away from the field as they're 2 wide for 2nd.
That's John Fowler, who slid through the infield. Unfortunately, he was having a great run. Battle for 2nd, like you said. You know what's funny is
we have a wreck in the back. We're under yellow now.
Oh, it's Lane Phillips and Matthew Hutchinson.
Wow.
Bumpers flying through the infield.
The 2 drivers we saw very fast and had the shot at winning this race, as
Hard hit.
Matthew Hutchinson decides to toe to pit road. His race is over. If I'm Blake Murray, I'd go into pit road and take these tires.
Oh, no doubt.
After you saw those new tires prevail big
Hard
time. But
hit
we're going
for
to
the 28, by the way. Sam Colas absolutely destroyed the inside wall after that contact.
Yeah, taking a look at this wreck, we see the 90 just gets loose, gets in the wall in front of Lane Phillips, comes down right on Lane Phillips' nose, hits the 28. 28 trying to stay off that wall, can't do it. Boom, hard hit. Race-ending hit right there. As I'm kind of surprised the 90 towed it, as he didn't really have a lot of heavy damage. His race definitely wasn't over, but definitely decided to pit otherwise. As once again, Lane Phillips 90 of Hutchinson.
Blake stayed out.
Blake stayed out. Whoa. I did not see that. I really thought Blake Murray was gonna.
Maybe he doesn't have tires.
Yeah, actually, that is true. Maybe Blake Murray doesn't have tires. As we've seen, maybe the 13 had the extra set and kind of helped him.
Well, you remember those top 3 right now: Brandon Honeycutt, Braden Zimmerman, and Craig Schroeder were the 3 drivers who stayed out earlier in the race when we were like really confused. They were the ones who stayed out and had to pit off cycle to everybody else. And now they are the
Yeah,
ones who are leading. They had the tires.
they're the ones leading. You know, we didn't really think that strategy was gonna work, but they definitely proved us wrong here with under 10 laps to go. Now they're all in the top 3 on those new tires. Definitely have the advantage.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting because we're going to be the end of this race. We're going to be watching drivers who we haven't even really watched all day. What are like? It's a completely different shakeup. These drivers have mostly been towards the middle and the back of the pack. So now they get the chance to race for the lead, and it's for the win of the race. They're going to restart with 6 to go. I think 7 to go. It's not going to be that much.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Honeycutt started 19th, leading this field. 65, Brendan Zimmerman started. Actually, he started 5th. Great job by him, but currently 2nd. And the 56 behind him of Craig Schroeder started 13th. But the leader is definitely the one who started towards the back, now leading this field. Great job by these top 3. Definitely a different strategy. It's gonna be interesting to watch how this plays out for those 3 drivers.
And not only them, the driver behind them, Brandon Sanfilippo, we saw him have that crazy save earlier in the race, and I didn't even realize he had a set of tires left, but he pitted the same lap as those front 3. Watch for him to maybe make a charge. I mean, and then behind him, it's Blake Murray, but Blake Murray very clearly does not have the tires and dropped very far before that caution came out. I think, honestly, this caution kind of saves Blake Murray some points because he might have the opportunity not to drop so much under these caution laps.
Yes, we're gonna take the one to go next time by, and it's you see it's like this. How this race is played out is something I really didn't I didn't expect, but it's definitely huge, and it's definitely making it really interesting. Brendan Honeyman, you know, it's like you said, started in the back. We didn't really expect him to be a huge factor in this race, but proving us wrong now, leading this field. It's going to lead us to the green flag with less than 7 to go. So, you know, he has a shot to win it and prove us wrong, and he's doing a great job. Like, props to him.
I will say, on that last caution, Xander DeForge came down and I believe took tires. So, he is very far back. He's in 10th. But we'll see how much, you know, just a short distance of tires is going to make here. He's obviously not going to be holding back. Literally fresh tires. So,
I think we can keep an eye on him.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's for sure going to get to the front, but if he does, I want to make sure people know where he came from because he did pit on that last caution.
Yeah, this is where it's going to go down, and Brendan Honeyman, kind of I guess was watching the 90, chooses the outside, just like Hutchinson was doing for his restarts, but leading this field, choosing the outside. 65 on his inside now. It's going to be Chevy versus Chevy front row. We're getting ready to go green. Pace car's going to hook a hard left and we're going to go green with 5 to go. So it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, Honeycutt's going to be in control on that outside line and that bright blue and yellow 13 truck. And this is the first time today he's been leading. Look out, tire spin's been a problem. This time it is not, at least not for the front group. Green flag, 5 more trips around Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, Lane Phillips spun his tires just a little bit, got stuck on the 3rd lane, but back to the lead. Brennan Honeycutt kind of trying to get in front of that 65's nose out of turn 2. 65 to the inside of the 13. We're side by side for the lead as the 13 kind of gets a run on exit. Has the bumper out in front at the moment.
Zimmerman drops down to the bottom. Honeycutt on the high side. Which line's going to prevail? Schroeder waiting in the wings, waiting to see what's going to happen. Honeycutt caught the outside wall, had a rough exit. Let's see what Schroeder does. Looks to... Oh, I thought he was going to push Zimmerman. He doesn't. Jumps to the inside. This is what Honeycutt wants to see in his mirror.
Yeah, Zimmerman now running that outside lane, trying to follow Brennan Honeycutt and trying to get the run on exit. The 56 on the inside. Look to try to clear him as he gets loose on exit. Big slide for the 56 of Craig Schroeder.
I'm running out. Top 4 break away. And then beyond them, not much competition. Right now, Honeycutt pulls again on the run to the front straightaway into the line. 3 more times around. Zimmerman needs to close a truck length and a half.
Yeah, 3 laps to go. Brendan Honeycutt's still leading this field as he's running lower than Zimmerman. Zimmerman's kind of running that second to third line, kind of on the seam. Brendan Honeycutt doing really well, had a huge run on exit.
Honeycutt searching for clean track, and he's found it finally out front. No problem. Zimmerman trying to just search for lanes to get up to him, hoping maybe Schroeder might give him a push, maybe just to help, just a little lick of it so he can try and close in on the 13.
Yeah, Brendan Honeycutt arcing his corner big time, trying to get down to that inside lane. Huge run on exit by Brendan Honeycutt. Great job by him.
They're rolling out of turn 4. They're going to take the white flag. Brandon Honeycutt found his way up front off of pit strategy with 3 trucks behind him. One more trip around. Honeycutt just has to make 2.5 miles around Chicagoland Speedway. He drives it down into 1 and 2 and clean off the corner down the back straightaway. Huge gap, 5-6 car lengths behind. He continues to pull away into 3 and 4. Brandon Honeycutt, he executed the strategy perfectly. We didn't think he could do it, but for some reason he did, and he finds himself in victory lane. Brandon Honeycutt's going to win at Chicagoland.
Yeah, great job by Brendan Honeycutt bringing it to victory lane. It's the Brandon show. The front 2 positions. Great job by Brendan Zimmerman getting that P2 spot. Craig Schroeder, P3 too. Great job by him.
Unbelievable strategy there. Like, that was actually incredible. The drivers who we saw up front all day long didn't even finish inside the top 5. Blake Murray finished 6th.
Wow. You know, something we didn't really... I didn't expect. I'm sure you didn't expect. But Brandon Honeycutt started 19th. We didn't really see throughout this entire race until I'd say 15 laps to go. But he's going to go burn it down on the front stretch here at Chicagoland. He got it done. He's going to go celebrate with his family and friends in victory lane, getting ready to burn it down on the front stretch.
Yeah, that bright truck going to shine on the front straightaway, and we're going to work on getting those top 3 into the interview. Into an interview. We're going to let him burn it down, though, real quick. Enjoy this moment with his team. Man, like, honestly, a really incredible shift in how this race turned out. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to end that way, and it shocks me. Brandon Honeycutt, great job by him. I've said it so many times, you know. Started 19th, finished first. You know, it's great job by him. It's still burning it down on the front stretch. Great burnout by him. That 13 Chevy truck.
Yeah, and right now we're waiting on the front crew to get into the waiting room, but Craig Schroeder's there, so we're going to drag him in real quick as Brandon Honeycutt continues to celebrate. But we'll get your 3rd place interview. Craig Schroeder, this is Peter and Gavin up in the HVTV broadcasting booth. You got us?
I got you loud and clear.
Well, 3rd place, and the strategy call was kind of crazy. We kind of couldn't even believe you were up there, because for a moment there, when that green flag run happened, you were completely off strategy by 20 laps or so. But when you realized you found yourself up front, what were you thinking?
Oh, I was just amazed because it was all tires. I saved a set, and that's what saved me at the end.
Yeah, it looked like tires were incredibly important, and the fact that you made that call, did you really plan that was going to happen? Were you relying on that caution to come out at the end?
Kind of, because I wanted to bunch the field up, because I knew when I took tires as late as I did, I was going to be sort of in the middle of the pack, but be faster. And so that caution just pushed me towards the front, and as you could see, the top 4 cars really pulled away from the field.
Well, great job, Craig. You showed us a lot of speed towards the end. Is there, anyone, family members, friends, or sponsors you want to give a shout out?
For sure. Sim Motion, definitely have to thank them. They pay for paint schemes and other things for our team. So Leroy, Daniel, Mark Martin, and Cody, my teammates. Of course, Leroy was the only one here today, and he got wrecked out early. But all in all, it's such a good group, and I enjoy racing with them.
Yeah, well, once again, congrats on a third place finish, and we're gonna let you go back to celebrate with your sim motion guys.
Perfect. Thank you. You guys have a great one. Thanks for broadcasting, and thanks to John for hosting this league.
We appreciate the shout out. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yep. Take care.
That's Craig Schroeder. We're gonna get Brandon Zimmerman up in the booth. He is gonna be your second place finisher. Brandon Zimmerman, this is Peter and Gavin up in the HVTV booth. You got us.
Yes, sir.
Well, you came home second there, and with a valiant effort, you were kind of the only one out of the top three who we saw up front earlier on in the race, but that completely different pit strategy kind of shook everything up. What were you thinking when that last caution came out, or the caution came out that bunched everybody up?
I was very happy that last caution came out. Me and Honeycutt made a plan to stay out, and hopefully, because there were so many yellows at first, we were going to try to flip the strategy a little bit. And I got a little nervous because we had a long green flag run there, and luckily we were able to use the last set we saved, and it worked out great for us.
Yeah, you no doubt did flip the strategy, and even though it was a little later than you expected, it almost worked out kind of better. You and Honeycutt were on very similar tires at the end of that one, but unfortunately, it looked like you could not close in on him. Was it some dirty air maybe coming into play?
It could have been. Honeycutt was faster than me all race. Every time they got around each other, I could tell he was faster. He had a better line. He was just able to make it work. I gave it all I had there, but I just, I couldn't get close enough to him.
Well, great job, Brennan. You finished second place. Is there any family members or sponsors or friends you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, shout out to my teammates at DEI. Congrats to my buddy Honeycutt. Shout out to you guys putting us on. Slingshot's been a great league. I'm having a lot of fun. And my gaming organization, Ancient World Gaming, for all their support.
Well,
Yeah,
great
well,
job getting it done today in that second position.
Thank you very much.
that was Brandon Zimmerman, and we're still waiting on Brandon Honeycutt to join the waiting room so we can drag him in. But while we do wait, we're going to give you our race rundown because we do not quite have him yet. And then hopefully once we do, we will be able to... Hopefully once we're done with that, we'll be able to bring him up into the booth. So, your racing finishing order, the unofficial results for the Lone Star 200. Brandon Honeycutt finishes in the first position. Brandon Zimmerman is going to come in second. Craig Schroeder coming in third. Brandon and Filippo on the same strategy as the other as those front three comes in fourth. Jeremy Vaughn takes the fifth spot. Blake Murray, who we saw up front the whole entire race, get kind of cut short there based off of that tire strategy, finishes sixth. John Fowler bounces back to finish seventh. Cody DeForge finishes 8th. Lane Phillips 9th. Xander DeForge is going to finish in 10th. In the 11th position is Gary Wright, and then Ira Colas is going to be in 12th.
And 13th is Kensley Smith. Behind him is Brendan Massey. And rounding off the top 15 is Sam Colhass, and 16th is Matthew Hutchinson, who we saw very fast, led most of this race. We thought he was the one to beat and just got involved in a late incident. Behind him in 17th, 12 laps down, is William McKellar. We saw him race well earlier on. Rounding out the top 18 is Ty Dickinson, who was out of this race. Behind him in 19th, also out of this race, Leroy Koblenz. And rounding out the top 10 is Joe Hudson.
Yeah, and unfortunately for... Oh, sorry. I'll let you finish up, Gavin.
All right, and 21st is Michael Wingo, who is out of this race. And then the 23rd position, 22nd position will be John Ross. And the 24th position will be Mark Martin. Sorry.
I'll get back to what I was saying. I did not mean to cut you off. Unfortunately, we will not get your race winner up in the booth. Brandon Honeycutt is unavailable, but still we want to congratulate him on the win and on the incredible strategy. Gavin, just final thoughts, because there's so much to unpack here. What are your final thoughts after that one?
I mean, we saw a little bit of carnage earlier on. We saw a little bit of a green flag run, but we saw carnage that kind of stacked them back up. And like Hutchinson was the one to beat. Same with Murray. They were both the fastest trucks out there on the track tonight, and they were the ones to beat. We were expecting them to finish up front, and then we had that long green flag run. Both of them prevailed, did really well. Then we had that yellow, the 5 truck spun around. Stacked the trucks back up, and then we saw like the tire strategy from the 13 in the other trucks, the top 4, and they prevail. And then Hutchinson got around. Same with Blake Murray, had a little bit of damage, and it kind of caught us off guard. Great job by the 13 by getting it done. He did great. Fast truck, great pit strategy. Save that extra set to bring it on home. I bet he's very happy to win it here at Chicagoland.
Yeah, you about summed it up. About what I was gonna say too. Just very shocking to see such a shift like that in this race. But once again, we appreciate everybody coming out, watching here on HVTV. My name is Peter Terrio. Gavin Austin is up in the booth with me. This was the SSR Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series at Chicagoland. And Braden Honeycutt is your winner tonight. Just before we head out, I do want to thank Christian Delgado, who is our producer, who has been behind the cameras, controlling everything that you guys see on the broadcast, putting on the visuals so that we can do our best over here. And he controls the whole other side of it, so I don't want that to go unappreciated. Thank you, everybody, for coming out, and we will see you guys next week for the next race in the SSR Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series. This has been HVTV signing off. See you guys next time.